05. You have any agenda changes?
I just have one addition to
Number C.
Jason. Do we have anybody on Zoom yet? Tom, okay.
Any public comment? No public comment. Approval of the minutes for January 11th.
Make the motion. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll support.
Moving on, then the report for February 8th.
Nope, still need a vote yet.
Okay. That's right. Yes.
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 And because the last one we didn't have a quorum, so I made up the quote discussion notes, essentially the same format. Everything is published online, but there was no quorum, so there's no official vote on there. Just make reference that for the record that there are notes that were kept for that and entered into the record and posted online, just like they have, like all the normal minutes have in the past. The second or the last one there is with the annual report for 2023. I provided everybody again with an updated version of the report, the proposed. Did everybody have a chance to see it? And I've got a copy here if you want to skim through it.
I think the only question I have is I only go till 24. My term as trustee.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, yeah. So the only change there, he was saying his term, Terry's term expires as if ex officio member on the and in November.
Yep. November 5th is the election day.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I was looking for the copy. I thought he printed it off, but I updated that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um,
And this probably should be 20. when they became effective.
Yeah, I updated that
Okay,
version.
okay.
The version Terry's looking at was the one I'd sent out in February, and I thought I printed out a copy of thing today, but I guess I didn't. I printed out the other many minutes. So anyways, the only changes I had from the February version was adjusting the dates of the people that were when the terms were renewed. And I took off the ones from last summer about the renewal stuff. And then, so that was a difference. So with that, based on the proposed annual report 2023, I make the motion to approve those minutes or to approve the annual report for 2023.
I'll second that.
Like to. Any discussions? Hey,
Let's take a vote.
yeah, take a,
Yes,
yes,
Yes.
okay. Motion approved 4-0 for the annual report. Yep, good to go there. So the next is on the Grundle Storage Unit site plan.
Yeah, the old and ongoing business. Yeah, review the Grindle storage unit. Come on up. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Hello.
Did I get you to state your name for the record again?
David Zamaron, I'll spell the last name for you. Z as in zebra, A, M as in Mary, A-R-R-O-N. Hope you found our package to be thorough and mostly complete.
Yes.
Good.
I mean, there's still some questions and stuff
Of
on
course.
there and there's some,
Yeah.
probably some comebacks that we'll need to cover. But
I'll try to answer any question I can. If it gets to a technical level, I've got my engineer Shane from
Yeah.
Gordy Fraser in the audience. So
okay,
we'll try to do our best to answer all your questions and concerns.
all right. I just want to make sure, Tom Barber, are you? Yeah, okay, I see you on there.
I'm here.
Okay, great. So we have the checklist for the site plan review that we did for the planning commission. I believe you were given a copy of that
Yes.
a couple of times ago. So what we're going to do is just go over that line by line and with your site plan and stuff. So we got an application here and we also had one given to us prior. And just for clarity, the people that did the plans and stuff, Mr. Shane Gamrat from GFA Incorporated, are they going to be the builders too?
No, our builder is out of Central Michigan. His name is Jason Mogg, M-O-G-G.
MOGG, okay, is
He's
it,
done about a half a dozen projects for us
Okay.
over the last few years.
is, do they have a company name or is it just,
I'm not certain what it is.
okay. All right, and then, I'm just going through the initial, preliminary admin pages of the first page of the checklist and stuff, so. They got the property number, it's a C1 zoning district. It's a type of site plan, it's a special land use with for mini storage, commercial use. As a result of that, it is going to require the final approval from the Gerrish Township Board.
Understood.
We'll make an approval with the recommendation, one way or the other, to the Board of Commissioners. The general procedure is we'll review this. You had a sketch plan back in November, which is kind of informal thing. The preliminary one's the first real kind of a formal one. And not necessarily everything in the checklist has to be completed, up to completely. Some things can wait till after for the final site plan review, but the intent is to do a preliminary today. And then more likely, if everything is kosher, then we'll look to have a public hearing next, and we try and schedule that right before the next meeting that
Sure.
we'll schedule in April. Our normal meeting cycle we planned this year was to do it in the odd months, and but we'll do the April one in the second week, of April, like we do all the other ones. Yeah, so that'd be April 11th.
Probably gonna be later than that. I'm looking for the same day of the public hearing.
Yes. Oh, is it with the,
Scheduling of a public hearing is a lot more time involved in it.
right, was it more than 2 weeks?
Well, you got to have it in paper on a Monday, if you go on Thursday, if on a Thursday, we gotta wait 15 days. So in going over that, we were tentatively thinking April 25th.
Okay. The, if everyone's not aware, at the last, Gerrish Township Board meeting, Dave Udi, the board, Township Board Supervisor, is officially resigning and, going to be complete with his term on the end of this month, the 29th of March. And then, Police Chief, Brian Hill is going to be moved up his retirement to the 30th of March and has accepted the board's, temporary appointment, immediately following Dave. So
Okay.
there's a new Township Board Supervisor. There's still going to be elections held this summer for all the board positions. The chief hasn't made a decision, at this point publicly or otherwise that I'm aware of about his intentions for that. But just because of that, there's a new, he's going to start picking up, the new role of supervisor here come 1 April. So there could be some delays and all that stuff, but we have what we'd probably do, I think at the end of this is we can schedule our monthly meeting at any time, especially in that it's going to be considered a special meeting anyway. So we'll do it at the earliest convenience. So we'll maybe shoot for the public hearing on the 25th. Again, at the end of all this, we'll give a formal,
Sure.
what we'll do, and then plan on scheduling ours that monthly meeting immediately following that on the 25th instead of doing it on the 11th.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, with that, okay, I'll start on, in the first section up there, just line by line here. First one's the documents. Again, a lot of these things are also discussed in the following items, but, they're just listed up front there. The, public notice of special land use public hearing, that's, more likely going to occur on the 25th. If the application form, we got your application form here. And then Jason just stepped out. Did you submit 10 copies of all the forms?
Yes.
Okay. We'll follow up with that, but, project narrative, the, architect, whatever, he did put together a little description. I think there are a few more things that we can add, to that. We'll talk about that here a little bit down the road. Not much, just kind of some,
Sure.
the vicinity sketch stuff you'd had, that was submitted, the elevation drawings of the building is submitted, you had floor plans. The ID of all the federal, state, local permits and stuff required. I think that was one of the things that wasn't, completely explained on there. And so there might be some more things, with those to put on. See the, photographs, that's optional, but you did include some example photographs, of what the building is going to look like and
Yes.
stuff. So it's not an issue there. Environmental impact mitigation report, forms. And that's only if required. I didn't see any in here. I was going through and reading the stuff and with the miniature writing and the small stuff, it was kind of hard to tell. You had a lot of different survey stuff. Did anybody see any mitigation or the, environmental impact statements or? Now, did you have one or are you aware of
Okay.
one?
For me to step up there.
Sure. Yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
please do. I'm sorry.
Stand up.
You know, you can bring a chair up here and sit up there too as well.
And I'll state my name just so you guys have it.
Okay.
It's Shane Gamrat, Gamrat.
Got
And
it.
I'm an engineer with Gordy Frazier out of Traverse City.
Oh, yeah, I got it. This side. Okey-doke.
So we are not anticipating any environmental impacts. with
Okay.
this. We can put it in a narrative if need be, but there's nothing.
Yeah, and that's one of those things in the narrative statement stuff. So if the things aren't required, it's just nice to have all that stuff up front in there so that if we have to go back or anybody does in the future, you've got kind of a one-page thing that summarize. You don't have to dig around for all that stuff. A traffic impact and mitigation report, and again, that's if required.
We spoke to the road commission and they didn't require a
Okay.
traffic study or anything like that.
And then the property line survey, you had that in here.
2.1.
And then the anticipated project completion schedule. I know you're talking in two phases on this. We were not looking for a start date here or there. We're just looking for a general, if you started, what's a generic timeline? It would take so many weeks to, do the clearing and, some of the building stuff and when you'd expect completion. So that's something that you'd like to see.
Would you want to see that in writing, or I can elaborate to that now?
Well, both. We want to have it in this record so that Jason and we have an idea. So it's down there, and that's something that doesn't, I don't think that would hold up for the preliminary stuff, that we can get that for the final
Sure.
site plan. Okay. Going on with the, minimum requirements in section 2 of the checklist. Again, just for the record, for anybody listening or out there, the checklist, what we've done, we've gone through and put all the items that were pertinent for a site plan review, whether it's a sketch plan, preliminary or a final review. And then we've bulletized those. And then with those, we have a cross reference with the section or sections in the Gerrish Township zoning ordinance for easy reference and stuff. Because some of these things actually go across numerous ones. Okay, so the first one is site plan should be provided on a professional quality scale, not less than 1 inch to 100 feet, and shall be clearly presented and required information. All information's depicted as designed by a professional engineer and land surveyor, landscape architect licensed in Michigan, and bears a seal and signature of the licensed individual. The site plan shall present all necessary information in a clear and comprehensive fashion and be of such clarity to detail the permit determination of its conformances to the ordinance and the satisfactory construction of the project, if approved, to ensure public health, safety, and welfare. All the stuff I've seen on there, I believe it. Those are all completed. Name, address, phone number, or applicant in each drawing, that's been done. Same thing, the preparer and the firm in each drawing, that's complete. Vicinity sketch showing the location of the site in relation to the surrounding road system for minimum distance, 1/4 mile in all directions. The vicinity sketch and or other component of the site plan materials shall identify all existing zoning classification and current use of all properties within 300 feet in every direction of the proposed use, including the land uses on the opposite side of any road and the location of all structures and buildings within 100 feet of the property. And that was all complete. If at any time the board members have something, to please chime in. 2E, the property line survey correlated with legal description showing property line dimensions and bearings of a lot area, graphic scale, and north arrow. That's been met. 2F, ID the existing land uses, buildings, structures, roads, easements, and all other existing site improvements within a designation as to which they are to be retained, removed, or otherwise altered, and delineation of any of the driveways or other curves within 100 feet of property. I believe that's all been met. 2G, ID existing natural features on and within 300 feet of the site landing, including the woods, wetlands, drainage courses, water bodies, 100-foot floodplain areas, topography at no greater than 2-foot contour intervals, and soil type and soils by type and drainage features according to the county soil survey or well boring logs, ID size and type of location of all trees of 10 inches of greater diameter, not otherwise part of the woodland area measured at 5 feet above the ground surface. That looked like it was all met. ID, 2H, ID the required front, side, and rear yard setbacks in the proposed buildings in the district. That was met. 2I, project narrative addresses the following: the intended use of the property for each building, the acreage devoted to each of the use if multiple uses are proposed, the total number of dwelling units and density of housing of each housing type, and for the project as a whole, total and usable floor areas of each building and cars, carports, and garages, amount of recreational and open space and type of recreation facilities to be provided, computations associated with the number of parking spaces required, and providing related information pertinent to otherwise required by this ordinance. I do believe all those have been met. And we had two to review, and I may be conflating a couple. I just went with the parking. You intend to have an office in corner.
Just a
Let's-
kiosk. An unmanned kiosk. You're not familiar with that is? It's
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying of a kiosk. It's
It's
just
like
like a signpost or
uh,
something.
front portion of one of the buildings and have it so they could basically lease their unit seamlessly.
Yeah. So is it is it like a room or?
It's
is-
like a small room.
Yeah. Okay. And it's no, is there any septic or
No,
water?
no-
Okay.
No
not that
facilities, no.
Okay. And I asked that because of the parking and stuff. If there was like an office thing, there may be for the, and then we had that with the other site plan that. Okay, yeah, the one thing like in the narrative, there's a couple things like whether or not some of those surveys or the permits are required, just to state those things, yes or no, in the plan there. And then also yeah, which you didn't put here, you included a lot of good stuff, but just like the number of units and the general, like X number of buildings with so many units in each building. Okay, proposed public right of way, private easements and deed restrictions. That's all been met. I don't think there was any deed restrictions in the public right of way. Um, yeah, I don't think you'd have any issues there. What I'm confusing it just with roads and the distinction of titles. Okay, so that's 2J, that's been met. 2K, proposed roads, drives, alleys, including widths, cross sections, profiles, acceleration, deceleration, and turn lanes, driveways, parking spaces, aisles, parking aisles, and with an indication of the total number of space and typical space in the aisle, driveway dimensions, the direction of travel, and the inside radii of all curves, including the driveway returns and sidewalks and other non-motorized travelways. Proposed traffic measures, including signs, shall also be indicated. That looked like it was all done. You even had a little cartoonish kind of drawing of representing the fire trucks and stuff on there for clearance and stuff around there, which is helpful. Okay, that's 2K, 2L, source and location of all public and private utilities, including potable water, sewage, disposal, electric communication lines, and the necessary equipment that exist and or are proposed to be established in the installation, repair, and maintenance of such utilities. Now here, you're gonna have electric on there. You had a lot of stuff identified in the lightings. Again, to confirm the septic, you said there was not gonna be any septic and then no water lines drawn in there. Okay, that's been met. 2M proposes accessory buildings and structures, including trash receptacles, enclosure signs and lighting. The question about the trash, were you gonna have a big trash dumpster?
We're not planning on it.
Yeah, okay, but are you gonna have one during the construction build
Oh,
or?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's common. That you other people are same kind of thing. You don't want to put trying to collect stuff there for the other people.
Then the lighting.
Yeah, and there's a spot for lighting down.
I think that's where you're at, right? 2M?
Signs and lighting.
Yeah. But I thought there was. Okay, I'll get that. So. Yeah, they don't need to get behind there. They can get that. Yeah, and that's the same thing. The other one. Access doors. Right. Okay. Okay, so the lighting signs, you guys have the questions on?
I just want to make sure the light, talk about that, so, that we protect the, sky from light,
Yes. Downward facing.
yes. that-
Right.
Yes.
And they had, I don't know if you saw it or it was enclosed in your packages, they had a thing on the actual lights they're gonna be purchasing. And it discussed in detail, you know, like the wattage, and it was like for the dark lighting and
Okay, good.
it in fact, it was a unique. I'm just stumbling through looking for that thing to. Yes. Yeah. So that was
Okay, good.
the lighting stuff here, and that was on. You know, with dark sky compliant, the in this right here, these were the lightings that were going on the sidewalls. Was there going to be any additional lightings on post
No.
put up there? Okay.
Lighting was not part of the PDF, right? The digital copy we have. I don't. Was it a separate insert?
No, that was a separate, the stuff I got, I didn't have anything digital from Jason. He gave us a package with the complete hard copy stuff on there. Did you get that or not?
No.
And actually, I think there's. Okay, so that was 2M, which is complete. 2N graphic illustration of the location, the extent of which natural features in the site shall be disturbed or otherwise cleared, including those in the under paragraph 14.3B2E. And you had a pretty comprehensive landscaping thing, even right down the trees, which. Yeah, and on that, I remember you had all the. So you essentially got with the trees, you got the buffer and stuff around the west, south and east side, and then the north side, that's just gonna be what's up there right now. Is that correct?
Yep.
And you got. The 2N is complete. 2O landscaping screening plan and compliance with other requirements of above. Again, we just talked about that. It's in the package and it looked pretty complete to me. So you're gonna, and on the roadside, you're gonna have essentially a berm of a few feet high, and then you're gonna put trees and stuff all
Yeah.
along on top of that. And so 2O is complete. 2P. A grading storage drain and storage water management plan, including soil erosion and sediment control measures and spot elevations to adequately portray drainage patterns and final elevations of grades. Such plans shall include the location of drainage easements, exterior drains, dry wells, catch basins, retention and or detention areas, sumps and or facility designed to collect, store, or transport stormwater. The point of discharge for all drains and pipes shall be specified in the site plan, as well as invert and related elevations and pipe lengths and slopes to construct such plan shall document the extent of the clearing of vegetation and the extent of the clearing, cuts, fills, and or gradings in the finished floor elevations of all buildings. Those all look complete to myself. 2Q, the location and specifications for any existing and proposed above or below ground storage facilities or any toxic or hazardous substances, as well as any contaminant structures and or clear zones required by the government authorities. A complete inventory of toxic and hazardous substances to be stored or used in the site, including the quantity of such substances, substance names, and characteristics, proximity of materials to the groundwater, aquifers, wetlands, surface waters, existing and proposed wells, stored storm sewers, drains, and sanitary sewers, and a proposed storage and disposal plan for all such materials, including their transfer and or transport. And am I correct in saying you're not going to have any storage on there? And then again, we require all the to be a sign or something like that somewhere in the premises talking about no hazardous materials and
In the lease as well.
yeah, I was going to say in the lease there. So yeah, that one is met. 2Q, okay, going on to 2R, elevation drawings of all buildings and floor plans for all buildings to be occupied. They seemed to all be in here. And you had so here it looked like there's a couple different buildings and you got a couple different specification stuff on
Yes.
there that, okay. Any questions there? I'm going fast. Okay. Okay, so that's 2R. That was complete. A statement identifying all federal, state, and local permits required, if any. I don't recall seeing a statement on there. I know you'd had a couple things with the road commission and some other stuff. So was there a,
There's the permits on the front, but we don't have a formal statement. We can include that.
yeah, if you just put
narrative.
that in there, narrative. Again, anticipated project completion schedule. And so that's something you can, for the narrative, you can put it in there, but if you don't have one, prior to the preliminary stuff being done, that could be included in the final. Such other information is necessary. This is 2U. To enable the reviewing body to determine whether the site plan shall conform to provisions of the ordinance of Cleveland, not necessarily limited area photographs and environmental traffic impact and mitigation reports. And I don't think there's any requirements, anything additional to what they already have. Anybody else have a Okay. Okay, going on to section 3, site plan, just general standards. 3A, all elements of the plan should be harmoniously and efficiently organized in relation to the size and character of the lot, the manner of which buildings and support facilities in the lot relate to one another, both visually and physically, and the character of the proposal is viewed from nearby properties and roads in relation to the intent of the district in which the property is located.
I did have a couple of things on that, like.
Sure.
Color scheme, have one, have the colors of like northern,
Yeah, we're thinking of like a beige and a green
okay,
to blend into the landscape
yeah,
rather than a orange or
yes.
what you see on the roadways. Yes. I want to keep in tune with the beautiful country we have here.
Thank you, that sounds good. And then, for, snow removal, you guys do have an area where you push the snow to?
Yeah, all the storm basins that are shown on there are all inside the fence, so all the snow can be pushed into there.
Okay,
Yeah, and I saw you had one area designated right in the northwest corner.
Yeah,
I
the
think
big
it is.
areas up there, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it for like phase 1. You were going to do it in that corner closest to the road. It was on the other side of the berm.
Yeah, in phase 1, that pond will end up being built as part of phase 1, so it can go up
Okay.
into there. Yep.
All right, then. Anything else
so far, so good.
on there?
Good.
Yeah. Okay, the 3B, the site plan shall be of character that supports the proposed district in which the development is to be located as described in the purpose tables of Article 3. And essentially, we've made the determination already that many storage units are okay in C1 areas. Again, and that's something I've had and still kind of do with the sheer number of stuff in a C1 area. But generally speaking, I believe you met that. Uh, 3C, the site plan shall not impede the normal and orderly development, improvement, or enjoyment of the surrounding property for uses permitted in this district, including matters pertaining to visual impacts from lighting, signage, outdoor storage, and off-street parking. I think it meets all that stuff. Again, the one question is just the impact in the traffic, and I don't know how that's gonna pan out. You know, the concern there is you've got a big S turn.
Yeah,
You've got another site that's already in the
Sure.
process being done. Here's going in. You got one that potentially could go on the other side. And
And we did talk again with the road commission. He went out there, we staked the drive location, he looked at it, so they've done their due diligence as
Yeah.
well, and then they'll have their formal permit.
yeah,
review.
and I can't tell until it happens. You'll find out. Your intent, as my understanding, is to have 24/7 operations, which could be the one currently going up is going to be more regular routine hours. I think there's going to be an issue. There's going to be some peak periods, I think, especially during the summertime, people want to come and get their vehicles and boats out and putting them back in, Thursday evenings, Friday evenings, Sunday, Mondays. The one question there is, and you've discussed already with the fire department and the road commission, I don't know if it'd be an issue, but I noticed with the gate access that you talk about, you're essentially going to be coming up, typing in a code or whatever, having a card kind of similar to what we have out here. And it's about 70 feet or less from that point to the road. And I'm thinking if people have trailers in a car, you're talking, three cars with the boats is, just a standard 20-foot boat or trailer, 24-foot trailer and a car that you're going to have. If people start going there and you get a lot of lines up there, there's going to be a line out in the street,
what
for
we may do
periods.
during those peak periods is
Are-
just leave the gate open,
For the-
say on a Thursday or Friday night,
Okay.
Sunday afternoon, something like that.
And yeah, I know there's lots of workarounds and stuff. Then the
Yeah.
concern there, for security stuff,
Sure.
And if you do something like that, I'm sure other people want, if you got it open or not open, it's not something
Yeah.
you may publicize to people that
Right.
don't have places there
Absolutely.
that, And again, it's all speculative. I don't know how it's going to turn out. So it could not be a problem. It may be a problem for a 1 hour period, one night a week.
Yeah.
And so, um, okay, so I think 3C has been met. 3D, the site plan shall preserve the environmental character of the site insofar as practical by minimizing the removal or disturbance to the on-site features such as trees, woodlands, soils, topography, water courses, and wetlands. I think their architecture plan is gonna, with the trees, I like the trees, so I think 3D has been met. 3E, the site plan should provide for removal of stormwaters to minimize the on-site flooding conditions and assure the well-being of the users of the property while not adversely affecting adjacent properties and public and nature, natural drainage systems due to flooding, erosion, sedimentation, and other negative impacts. Stormwater management plan shall rely on existing drainage patterns where they're practical, minimize topographic alterations, and incorporate the necessary measures to discourage soil erosion, sedimentation, and the discharge of impurities into the groundwater and nearby water courses. And it looks like you've met that. Okay, I think 3E is met. 3F, the site plan shall provide vehicular and motorized circulation and parking in a manner that ensures visually clear, safe, convenient, and efficient travel in the site and at ingress and egress points, including the minimizing congestion and conflicting turning patterns, minimizes negative impacts upon abutting properties and roads, including the coordination with the existing and planned public circulation system improvements thereto, and the avoidance of unnecessary curb cuts, and ensures that all buildings shall be so arranged as to permit emergency access by some practical means to all sides. Now, the only thing there is you have tight lines, you're right up against the side things, but your doors are all on the inside, correct? So you don't, and that's not an issue with the fire department with it's going down the front there, and Trey asked that. Anybody else have any? Yeah, I just made a comment there again about the traffic stuff with the gates and. Okay, 3F, I believe, has been met. 3G, the site plan should provide for the appropriate locations of all necessary and proposed utilities. Underground facilities shall be provided to the greatest extent feasible. You're not gonna have septic and water. Are there gonna be underground facilities or electric? For all the lighting stuff, those are just,
They're solar powered.
yeah, so
Yes.
you're not gonna have any other electric,
There won't be any wiring.
okay. Um. 3G, believes has been met. 3H, where a project is proposed for construction in phases of site plan, phasing shall be so designed that each phase, when completed, shall be capable of standing on its own in terms of the presence of services, facilities, and open space, and contain the necessary components to ensure the protection of natural resources, health, safety, and welfare of the users of the project and surrounding properties. Now here, just to kind of reiterate, there are 2 phases. It's just 4 buildings in the front for the first phase. It'll still maintain the wood structure behind it until the next phase. Is that? And then you're gonna do that retention pond during the phase 1
Correct.
with there. So yeah, I don't see any issues with that. I know there's some timelines. Jason, I don't recall off the top of my head, timeline specifications for like for phase plans, or that we approve it all here and then it's good to go. And if they could wait, if they waited 5 years, there's no problem of doing the phase 2 later on. Okay.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
I didn't quite get the phase. will the land that's in phase two be not touched until you're ready to develop it?
Yes, that's what they said. And on, I don't know if you had, because it was on a hard copy handout, and I don't know if you've got that. The phase one is going to be 4 buildings just across the front portion. And then there'll
Right.
be, buildings there on the north side, just behind the northern building on phase one. There's a little triangular spot that goes to the property line. That's going to be the retention area. And they said they are going to clear that during phase one. So they'll build a retention pond area that they'll also be able to use for snow removal and storage.
That's on the north boundary?
Yes, we can. Terry, can you hold up your picture right there on the camera?
I think I know what you mean. The biggest pond is what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because that was my other concern, was I didn't see anything that was on the plan that indicated snow storage. I saw the retention ponds and stuff, but I didn't see any place to really store the snow.
If you look at box 11 on the site plan, which is sheet 3.1, it calls out snow storage. And there's basically two of the basins serve as snow storage areas.
And you probably don't have.
You say it's page 3.3?
3.1.
Oh, 3.1, okay. Little area right here. Okay, I do see it now. I missed it. Sorry about that. I'm good. I can't hear you, so you're talking to yourself.
Tell me my finger is.
I've got it.
Yeah, okay. And then it.
I got the plans on my computer here.
Okay.
That'll be a YouTube moment. Which way? I've been cutting my hair my whole life and should be used to looking in the mirror and doing things different. And it didn't work. Another dimension. Any other questions about the phases?
Jason, quick question. On these 4 buildings, are there adequate room between each building? Do you know how far apart they are?
Yeah. Right. Here it talks about the truck.
Just as long as Jason's seen it.
Yeah, and that's what the fire department,
Okay.
they talk,
Okay.
that right there is simulating, the size of like one of the vehicles,
Okay.
a little square. Yeah, that's the vehicle thing right there. So the turning radius and then having the trailers stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so that was 3H and that's been met, will be met. 3L or 3I. Site plan shall conform to all applicable township planning documents, including the goals and objectives of the master plan and other applicable ordinances and federal statutes. I didn't see any other issues for the. So I believe 3I is met. And then again, specific standards in section 4 for specific land uses. Article 9 for signs, off-street parking and loading, landscaping and screening, environmental protection and supplementary provisions.
Answer your question on your fencing. What's your plans for your fence? What's it look like?
6 foot to chain link.
If you're gonna have any type of, like mesh screening on either side of it, or?
I don't know if we decided that or not.
Yeah, questions about the fencing? It's gonna look like, you have
Yeah.
a mesh screening or no?
I don't think we're planning on it.
Yeah, they talked about chain link fence around 3 sides. And then you talked about like a iron gateway. There was a picture in here. This was, so the fencing in the front that you were going to be looking at was going to be different.
Yeah, it's gonna be more of a decorative iron
Okay,
fencing.
that's what I wanted to.
Yep, along the road.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it'd be something like
There you
that
go.
right
Yep,
there
along the
in
front.
Okay.
That's on the back with all the other pictures. I was just reviewing some of the mini storage. And I'm trying to look, what was the max storage of the units?
As far as
Like say one unit is, are any of them over 500 feet?
the length,
The square footage?
the max square footage, I think is 12,000 square feet for the overall.
But that, yeah, that was the overall building.
Yeah.
But the
open.
individual units?
Our biggest ones will be 12 by 40, I believe.
Yeah, so 480, so under 500, okay. Yeah, I was just looking on here with the 500-foot max restrictions for the storage units. Yeah, the signage. I know you had a lot of stuff on here. I see, I think the location of the sign, was there a size specified on here?
I don't believe it was specified on here. It would be provided in the, application for the sign permit.
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure that complies with,
Yeah, I think we got a note on here, about just complying with the township, sign ordinance. And then again, it'll be a full rendering, will be provided with the actual sign permit application.
anybody else have any questions on any of those additional, requirements? Okay, moving on to site, plan special use general standards. 5A, be harmonious with the Gerrish Township master plan. I've expressed my thoughts before.
We're
Yeah.
good with that.
Okay, 5B, be harmonious with the general objectives, intent, and purposes of this ordinance. Any questions there? I think they are. 5C, be of such character to be compatible with adjacent conforming uses of land. They're all many storage things right now, which, yeah, from that standpoint. So I think that's been met. 5C, 5D, be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be appropriate in appearance and harmonious with the existing and or intended character of the general vicinity. In determining whether the requirement has been met, consideration be given to the bulk placement materials, construction of proposed structures, pedestrian vehicle circulation, and location of vehicular use and parking areas. I don't see there's any problems with that. So 5D, believe has been met. 5E, not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity. I think that meets that. The only question I again have is the potential traffic block-ups at, peak periods. But we won't know till that it's in there. 5F, be served adequately by essential public facilities, services such as roads, police, fire protection, drainage structures, refuse disposal, water and sewage facilities and schools, minimize the impact of the traffic generated by the proposed development of the adjacent properties. Again, traffic, I think, is the only issue there, and that's TBD. Okay, 5G, not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions of operation that will be determined detrimental to any person, property, or general welfare by reason of excessive production of traffic noise, glare, and odors. Anyone any issues there? I think there the main thing would be the lighting stuff and the traffic. But they're seem to be within standards.
Yep.
5H, not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions of operation that will be detrimental to the natural environment, including air, soil, surface water, and groundwater resources. I think they've been met. They did address the hazardous stuff, and they're also going to include those restrictions in their leases. So 5H is met. 5I, not create excessive additional requirements at public cost for public facilities and services. Nothing at this point here. The only thing, if there was later on, would be if there was a significant traffic thing, if they had to put up, additional signs or stoplights or something, or temporary flashing lights. But when you spoke with the road commission, did they mention they were supposed to do a traffic study about a year and a half? Did they mention anything about that? Or they were doing some speed and just general trafficability things, had nothing to do with any of the units they're building
Right.
stuff there. It was just standard stuff to do periodically around the areas.
Yeah, he didn't mention anything.
And okay. And 5J, comply with the site plan approval standards in section 14.4. And that's the site plan review process here. And unless anything changes, I think they've met all that stuff so far. Special use general standards in compliance with the above standards, section A, special land uses shall comply with the standards and regulations applicable to each specific special land use as may be identified in Article 7. And that we had discussions about the use of mini storage in C1 area and zone areas. Yeah, it seems like it's met all those requirements that we have specifically spelled out. Then review for completeness, conformity. Anybody have any general thoughts, comments from the board in particular? Val, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we'll
Um,
give you guys an opportunity to
Sure.
give a final summary. Go ahead, Tom.
the, well, I think it's pretty complete, obviously. And, you know, we probably should just, the next step would be to set up the public hearing so we can get their thoughts and comments. One thing I think we should have, you should provide us some general building elevations. Because the public and us would like to see what the buildings are gonna look like, especially the ones that, you know, since they're facing the road and so forth. So if you could provide something that, maybe shows the colors or what have you and the overall height and effect, so people get an idea of the structure. I think that even the township board would like to see that. Everybody's curious about what's the final look. I think you're doing a great job so far and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, they did have in some of the submissions, and I don't know if that's sufficient, and you're asking for more time, but some pictures of the parking lot with the gravel structure. That was an example.
Yeah.
The other was some of the buildings. It's
Yeah, I saw those. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
you're
we
talking
need
in
some
addition
more,
to-
more specific to this plan, you know?
right, like like kind of like an architectural, landscape road view of what it would look like drawing.
Yeah, just an elevation showing the building and some dimensions on it, just to so they don't think it's gonna be a two-story thing or something. We did have a sort of a schedule on the site plan 3.3 page. It was kind of a general progress thing and um,
Yeah, we have a construction sequence on the top there, just kind of the overall rough time frame. But again, we can provide a little more.
Yeah, if it's something
In the
just,
narrative.
yeah, it's about, yep, yeah, the
Yep.
narrative and where was that?
On the top of 3.3, there's a watershed map, and then right next to it, there's construction sequence notes.
Okay, yeah, if you put that in the plan and there you have actual dates and stuff on there. And what we're looking for is not necessarily the dates, just start 3 weeks to here, 2 weeks to there. So you wouldn't need to,
Yep.
things always slide and
For sure.
stuff if things get approved and setbacks. So. Anything else, Tom?
no, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Val, did you have anything? Yeah, Mike, did you have anything?
I think we're good. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was too. Would you guys have any final comments or
No.
questions or what I would plan on doing? I'll write a summary up, with the minutes and what we did for the other and yet we have in the past. Any of the items that were considered deficient or that we talked about, maybe missing, I'll document in there and then we'll include them in the minutes and then also send a letter to you specifically, detailing those. And then for the mailing address, we just use the Mount Pleasant address that you have
Yes.
on here for the,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so I think everybody's in agreement. We're good to go for it's pretty thorough and complete. Not 100% yet, but good enough for a public hearing, which we'll plan on scheduling at the earliest time right now, 25th of April.
Is that tentatively the 25th, did we say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're shooting for that. And we'll give you feedback too. And if there's some issues about your availability or something like that, we can,
Will be available.
yeah, make some adjustments. The same likely with the other people. We'll probably, we have told at least, if we do the second one as well, which I likely, we'd at least have to do like a 15-minute block for each one separately. So we won't just do, both conjunction or nobody shows up in 5 minutes and we're going. So we'd do one probably from 6:30 to 6:45 and the other 6:45 to 7. Then we'd start our other meeting right after that.
Will there be a meeting after the public hearing?
Yeah, well, there will be a special meeting just like this right here, because it's April timeframe, it'll be considered a special meeting, not a monthly one. But we'll conduct it the same way we do this. So that'll be on the agenda just to review the public comments. And then if there's any questions or concerns or something like that, again, a lot of these things with the public hearings, and I'm on the zoning board of appeals as well. Just standard stuff, any of these forums or things come up just because it's not a vote where you get 5 people show up and they're all 5 adamantly opposed or against or for and two. So the comments and things are taken consideration, but it's not necessarily a vote of the number of people that show up or oppose. And people also with the public hearings, they can submit stuff in writing if they can't make it in person.
Sure.
And then now we've got a Zoom capability, so we'll also air it in Zoom. And
And so with this special meeting, would that be final approval at that time?
yeah, well, the special meeting would be just like this form here, just it'd be classified special because we didn't have on the annual agenda for a monthly meeting there. So we would conduct this. But I know what you're getting at is, okay, before we can do a final site plan review, it has to be approved. The preliminary site plan has to be approved by the board. And so the board would meet, the next board meeting, we couldn't do it at that meeting right there. The next board meeting would be, I think, the first. Well, if we do the public hearing on the 25th, we have our immediately following, we can basically endorse the stuff, make our official recommendations that meets the preliminary site plan on the 25th. And then the board meets. Well, they don't meet beforehand for the.
We have a work session. Second. Okay. Okay.
Okay. And this is weird because right. Right. So what I'm looking at here is usually the board meeting is prior, it's the second Tuesday of the month and it's usually prior to our meeting. In this case, it's after our meeting scheduled in May. Well, my thinking is that potentially we could maybe reschedule our meeting for the 9th of May if the board approves and everything like that, then we could go get it on the agenda for the meeting immediately following on the 16th of May. And then it would have to go before the board. Meets for the next time. And then, so you'd be looking at a potential approval. Again, let me say there. Yeah, of a June timeframe. But there's also, and I don't know what the board's thoughts were on here, that we could find at the April meeting, if everything's sufficient, even though we didn't, or after the public hearing, we finish up with the preliminary stuff. And we could do, if it seemed to meet the criteria of a final site plan review, at that time, if all the additional stuff is submitted and we felt sufficient, we could give our endorsement on that April meeting and then say, We also believe it's sufficient for a final site plan review, I mean, it's complete and meets all the conditions and compliant. At the same time, you give it to the board and they could conceivably say, okay, they vote on, yeah, we approve the planning or the preliminary one, and then immediately go ahead and vote on approval for the final. My main concern there is just if there is some, um, you know, opposition with certain criteria and justification and all that, then you may have to look. I don't like ramming things through to say, you try and speed up stuff, but at the same time, there's a happy medium where, we're obligated to the township and the public and that stuff to make sure things are properly vetted and given an opportunity to do it, not just pencil whip it and say, yeah, we met all the steps, but the reality is they have some reasonable opportunity to present their cases and rationale here. And this is the one thing, and it happens for all the sites. We got a new site going in. We approved zoning change for the C1 for mini storage in C1. It wasn't the intent necessarily thinking that, okay, they're going to take all these things to do it. It was intent to give some of the local ones that exist already to expand in theirs and maybe some other ones here. We basically doubled the capacity with the current one going up. We have no idea how that's going to go. We have these two. So essentially, if these other two go through, you're talking about, 4 times, 6 times the capacity of what we ever had. And the intent of the C1 stuff is to primarily support the local, community in the township, whether it's provide services to them or provide opportunities for the business stuff for them. And that was because, again, I'll ask the other people, but the business model, I think you stated before, you're focusing strictly on the storage of vehicles
Boats and our.
for the township stuff.
Yeah.
I think with all these things going up, I believe that there is a market for that. But the question is, does this become a market, where with all these other units to support, this is the halfway point between Traverse City and other areas up north, and we don't necessarily want to become the repository in Gerrish Township to handle those type of things. That's not the intent. That's not my intent for there. So, but I think, overall, I think you guys have put together a good plan, good intentions and stuff. And like the others, I think it'll serve the community good if it goes through.
Thank you very much. I think.
Thank you,
Good
John.
job. Yep.
Try and get that. Try and get
A letter or this letter to you guys sometime out next week. And
We ready then for the next? Sure, go ahead.
Should be able to.
Yeah, the one we just had. You're talking about like doing a motion that it meets this stuff. Well, we can't do that yet because we haven't had the public hearing yet. So we need to get input from the public to get their comments before we solidify our stuff.
What you're doing is you're making a motion to send it. Basically, you didn't approve anything because there's no motion in the session, there's no legal acceptance. You should make the motion.
For a public hearing.
Tom, do we have to motion it and second in order to approve this site plan and send it to the special meeting?
Yeah, yeah, if we could make a motion for we're not making a motion to approve it. I can, the motion
Motion to
that is
recommend.
sufficient and that will to hold the public, that is sufficient to hold the public hearing. Yeah, I can, when we come back here, we can,
Want to do things right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't make the motion and then we show up and they're gonna get put on there, you got nothing to say, hey, you know, we were given permission to do. this.
Yeah.
Ready to call the meeting
Back.
order?
second. Okay,
As we discussed, we should have
a motion to recommend to go or to conduct a public hearing. So,
for the window storage unit
yep.
site plan.
So who does that?
Yeah,
Mike's gonna make the motion.
guys.
Yes, I'm writing a site plan, or a motion for the hearing, to schedule a public hearing for that Brundle site plan.
Well, all you gotta do is say, make a motion that says,
Yeah, that's why I just got it written up here.
move to conduct a public hearing
Yeah.
at our next meeting on the Grunland site.
Yeah,
plan.
that's why I just get the word verbiage here. So I make a motion that the Gerrish Township Planning Commission schedule a public hearing for the Higgins Lake Boat and RV Storage site plan as part of the preliminary site plan review process at the next earliest convenience. Have a second?
I'll second.
No,
Want the other one. Brindle?
Yeah, it's Higgins.
No.
Yeah, it's
Higgins Lake.
No, you're
That
here.
would be wonderful if you just.
No, this was,
The other.
no, their name of there is the Higgins Lake Boat and RV Storage. Yours is Higgins Lake Storage. Yep. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're pretty close.
you're going to get the benefit of advertising for both. Okay, so we have a second. Any discussions?
Do we have to pick a date or just,
I just say at the earliest convenience
Okay.
on here. For that, with the intent of being the 25th of April
Okay.
is our target, but not putting that in the motion.
Okay.
Okay, no discussions. All in favor, say aye.
aye,
Opposed, no. I mean, opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion's passed 4-0. Okay, you guys can come up to the front, please.
Similar storage building site plan next.
Well, I'm Dwayne Kimmer, the developer. I think you all already know that, except for you, Val. You weren't here at the last meeting?
Yeah. He was
Okay.
here you were here at the sketch plan review though, I think in November, so.
Yeah, well, anyways, I'm Dwayne Kimmer. This is my engineer, Rob. I've submitted, I hope, plans that everybody was happy with because we made the changes that you wanted.
Yep, okay, so. So essentially what we got was project narrative. And the package, we just
Yep.
got this last night, so. And then there was several different drawings and stuff, which included a change in the, I think, number of buildings you had and location of them.
Based on comments made at
Yeah,
the last
yep,
meeting.
yep.
Including the fire chief.
Yep. And then we also had, your paint scheme stuff that you submitted. And so with that, we've got your application stuff before, and I just go through again line by line with the checklist. And everybody, so you've all gotten the package. Right, and now here's if you.
Everyone too.
Are you about ready? Okay, public hearing, likely afterwards we'll do the same thing and pretty sure we're going to schedule one for you. And it'd be the same, probably in the 25th is our goal for April. They got your application form and the 10 copies. I didn't count all 10 copies, but I'm sure you filed them in there with Jason.
I think, my son emailed you a bunch of copies.
Yeah, we've got copies. There's hard copies like this that they need.
I was told to bring 3 of them.
Okay.
That's what I brought.
Yeah, I know we usually require 10, but I'm not sure those are to go, and I'm not sure if they're all the drawing size or if it's sufficient here, because they get sent out to various people. And I think it might be the 3 that you sent here, one for the building zoning administrator, then some others for other records. We verify that. Okay, yeah, the vicinity sketch. So that you had Jason? Yeah, real quick, they submitted three of these big copies here, and we have the requirement for 10 copies. So are those extra 7? Are those part of the stuff you sent us individually, or do they need 10 copies of the large format ones? So you've got everything you need then
Yeah.
from, okay,
We always end up with so many copies,
These-
they get thrown away.
yeah, okay. That's fine,
Nobody comes in and picks it up, it's all emailed now, so
right, okay,
really no sense at all.
okay. We'll mark that up for discussion later of things to modify. Not to do with this board here. Okay, so the vicinity sketch. We believe you've included that. The elevation drawings of the buildings. I had a question that we'll come to that later. Floor plans. Same thing. I think you had stuff, but I had a question on something from Jason. Were the floor plans submitted
No,
that met? Okay. There were some things in here that included like dimensions of the buildings and stuff, but whether it meets the requirements of that. Excuse me. Okay, I saw you had a statement of all the permits you were required or not required in there. Photographs, it's not required, but you had some in there. The overlays. Environmental impact mitigation. Made a statement about that, I believe, in your narrative. The property line survey, you've got those covered. In there, and I didn't see one on here. Did you have a project completion schedule? I mean, just like template, like from start and when time is.
well, it depends a lot on when we can get started, but I'm hoping to get at least 3 buildings up this year.
Okay, so what we're looking for there, just in writing, state, here's our general plan. It doesn't have to be by this date. Just say if from the time you say go, it would take X number of weeks to, do the excavation or whatever, and then the building stuff. And
Based on the previous discussion, sounds like June is the earliest that they'll be able to start by the time they make it through your
yes, I think
approval
that's,
process.
but on the project completion schedule, we're not looking for dates on there, just the different types of things you do during the project for, like clearing trees and doing the other stuff, just have a generic, here's roughly the time frame it would take. And once this is done, then we start that. So no matter what, once they start, then we can, put dates on it from as a guide.
Just durations for your activities,
What's that?
durations. Like for the scheduled duration.
I'm hard of hearing,
Yeah,
so I don't catch everything.
yeah, he stated that last
Okay.
time. We forgot to up time. Okay, so that was something we need to include there. And again, just like in the narrative, updated narrative. Okay, so 2A, the site plan. I'm not gonna read through the whole thing this time. I read through the stuff already. You got it in the professionally drawn plans and all that. So 2A, I believe he's been met. The name and address in each of the applications, looking at it, you've met that. The you've met that. 2C, 2D, the vicinity sketch, you've got that in here. 2E, the property line survey with legal descriptions, shown the dimensions, you've got that. ID existing uses of buildings, structures, roads, easements. And I believe you got that stuff in there. 2G, ID existing natural features within 300 feet of include the wood lines. I believe you got that in there for
The aerial for the small location map would have that, but I suppose it's kind of a lead. And then the couple of environmental sketches that come off the Eagle, that would have your 300 feet.
yeah, that. Yeah, I mean, pretty much here, there's just, and to clarify there was a land split that was included that did go through, I believe, from the planning or from the board. So that was approved. And that's, if you're on Ivy Road, that's a patch that's just between, it's on the northwest portion of the property on there. So that portion is the thing that's right abutting the Marathon Station, I believe, in there. I was thinking it was going to be in the backside, so. Okay. So 2G, let's say it's met. 2H, ID the required front side and rear yard setbacks of the buildings. You did that on there. Narrative. You've included that in there. You've been pretty thorough on the stuff. And just an updated project timeline on the narrative.
Okay.
Other than that, the other stuff looked good on there. 2J, proposed right of ways, private easements and deed restrictions.
There are no new right of ways,
Yeah.
easements or deed
Right.
restrictions.
Okay. And you got an address here, I see, which I thank you for that. I was kind of wondering I didn't realize that at that point it becomes Ivy Road. So 2J is met, 2K proposed roads, drives and alleyways. Indicated you've done that. So 2K is met, 2L source and location of all public utilities with potable water, sewage storage, and that you've included. You're not
there
having
is no
any
potable water. There
yeah.
is
No septic and no sewer on there. in there. So you've met that. And are you gonna, are you gonna have electric lines run in there? Or is it just gonna be like solar stuff for the lighting?
Building number one will have electricity.
Okay, so there will be some, will there be underground lines? going
That'll
there?
be up to consumers, I guess.
Okay,
And being where consumers is at, we would anticipate that that's underground.
yeah, okay,
And normally consumers does their own design on that.
okay. Okay, so, yeah. 2L, you met, 2M, proposed accessory buildings and structures, including trash and stuff, and um, you've got a lighting thing on here, I believe.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah, I think there's an
The
extensive,
last page should be. Site
Yeah.
plan.
there were two different, with the packages of what we got handed, different spots, so. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, very similar to,
what they had before.
the previous one.
And you said you were just gonna have a trash bin for the construction, you weren't gonna have one on there for the
Right.
plant. Okay, graphic illustration, location, extent of all natural features and such shall be disturbed and cleared. I I didn't see a specific one for that, but you've got a lot of the landscaping stuff identified on, if I'm correct.
So the site is, existing site is wooded. In general, the majority of the site will be cleared in order to fit in all of the features, including the detention basin. The plan is to try to save what trees they can save along the property lines as best I can. I'll let Dwayne answer to the front.
And we plan on taking the trees out all the way up to the power line. But between the power line and road, we want to leave all those. With the exception of the driveway.
Right, okay. And how it's. So it's like 45 feet of trees roughly. The driveway is gonna be on the left side or on the northwest corner
Yep,
of the road there, I see. And now there is a requirement in the ordinance for certain number of trees along some of these areas. And then they included that in the site plan before. I know we've had it in other properties that cut stuff off there, so. Was your intent to put any landscaping and right now, I believe where you're saying the power line is, I think it looks like a dirt trail for off-road vehicles. Is that about the
it's
location?
directly underneath the power line.
Yeah, okay. And
I don't think it's a designated trail. I think it's just.
you know, I use that trail as a reference in my mind about
Yeah.
where the tree line, the stuff in there is going to stay, and then behind that, it's all going to be cut. That's what you're saying.
Right.
And that's the only thing in my mind I have to gauge the distance and stuff.
How many feet of a buffer is it gonna be, do you think? On the
What's that?
sides- On the sides of the property? Is there, how many feet of trees are gonna be there? A lot.
Well, between the buildings and the property line is only 9 feet. So there's not gonna be a whole lot of trees.
That's what I'm asking, so as many as can be in there.
Yeah,
But the intent, the thing with the ordinance, there is a thing that specifies that on the side, on certain sides of the property stuff that if you're taking stuff down, that you need to have an X number of trees per distance. And
Now, on the one side, on the south side, we gotta put a tile in there. So we got 9 feet between the building, the property line and the tile in there. Looks like it's gonna go roughly in the middle. So I think it's safe to say there's not gonna be a whole lot of trees left in there.
Tom, do you have any thoughts or comments on the tree line issue? I know in the other one, they were real tight too, and they did go around and there is an ordinance requirement for trees on the sides. What's your thoughts or?
Yeah, I think the front between the retention pond, you got the power line, and then you got your roughly 45 feet back. I think you're gonna have to, we'd like to see some kind of, like the plan before, a berm of some type and then landscape on top of that berm to basically break the sight lines up. So we're not looking at your building there in the parking lot. It's tight, I get that. But there's not much vegetation there to speak of, even if you save it. It's pretty marginal at best in that area, I think. But I could be wrong. I can't remember exactly. I'm not there. And we talked about the south line before, and I kind of mentioned that you might want to move your building back enough to have landscaping there. But I've kind of changed my mind a little bit in the sense that you have a project potentially going in, to the south of you, and there'll be buildings there, and so forth. So I think the landscaping there isn't quite so critical, but I think it is on the first 200 feet there on the south line, where the end of that building is and so forth, and wrap it around following Ivory Road up to the north. I'd like to just, see a little more aggressive landscaping program right there to help mitigate because the idea, we're trying to maintain the wooded look. Right next door to you is a recreational area. It's a natural resource area when it's low density. And this area's always been a commercial area, but we taking that into consideration that I'd like to see some more landscaping addressed across the front, or at least a plan for it.
Now, are you talking between the power line and the road or between our buildings and the power line?
I'm thinking wherever you can get it in, because I don't know what you can do with that power line. They still have to have access to a consumer's house.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you've got that retention pond.
Right, and then that's what I just looked at the plan real quick. I don't know if there's enough room in between the retention pond and the power line to get anything in there. Maybe
Right.
over towards the driveway it's possible.
So I think that 45-foot front setback line, from the road up to the power line is where I'd concentrate a berm and some plantings on top of the berm to give us that, 6 foot of natural fence landscaping.
You want a 6-foot tall berm?
No, 2 foot is what I was thinking, but with the landscaping on top of it, you create effectively a natural 6-foot barrier if you put a 5-foot barrier, if you put a 3-foot shrub or 4-foot shrub of some type. We don't have to hack it all out tonight, but we need to know that you're willing to work with us on that.
Are you gonna be able to reshape that retention pond?
There's for a 2-foot berm, there's sufficient space to be able to do that.
Okay,
And then as far as planting goes, we could even plant trees inside the detention.
Yeah, just do that.
So there's,
yeah, okay.
we can make that work.
Is
The
it,
the trees that will be along the banks will be down a little bit, but there's room for a berm to put that on top and
if the power company doesn't have a problem with it, is it possible to put that berm underneath the power line?
Well, yeah, I'd run it by them first. So,
Okay,
you know, obviously you wouldn't want to plant a tree that's going to grow up 30
well,
feet.
no, but like shrubbery type
Right.
tree.
Yeah,
Sure,
we're
that's
thinking the
fine.
same.
It should be fine.
Yeah, I'll see if I can't get a hold of somebody there and talk to them about it. Because then we know we got enough room to do it.
Right, because the berm doesn't have to be that wide. It can be, you know,
Yeah,
It could
yeah, but
be,
you said you wanted to go 5 feet?
no, it could be
Uh,
5 foot wide at the base and taper up to only 2 feet wide at the top and be roughly 2 to 30 inches tall. The berm doesn't have to be 5 feet high.
Okay,
And we've got the plans for the other group that's right next door to you. And they're their plan is to put a 2-foot berm along their whole front thing right there. So that's a public record. So if I'm not mistaken, we should be able to provide them a copy of what their plans are.
Yeah, they can take a look at that.
Yeah, just see that, so you can say, here's something consistent with, I mean, it's not our intent to have, one person, this thing, another guy up here, and it's ideally you'd like to have it, somewhat similar, so it,
And we'd like some consistency, you know.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
same with the fence too, right? You guys have a fence in the front, correct?
yep,
Yeah, there is no requirement that they have to have the same fence as the
No,
people
not
next
at all,
door.
but I'm just
But-
saying, the other ones are having more of a decorative type fence.
Yeah, so
That's-
you may or may not want to do some, but we can provide a copy of their site plan too, I mean, it's a public record thing, so
okay,
you want to see what they're looking at and to see if some of that stuff, to be consistent with maybe something they're doing, or especially like with the berm and how they're going to do the landscaping you made.
yeah, if their driveway happens to be on the south side of their, the far south of their property, we could tie our berm right into theirs.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in fact, sure, we'll give you a copy of this, but just to show you right now. This is your
Yeah.
property here, so they're gonna do a little berm here with some trees there,
We
so,
just tie right into it.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the illustration, I'll make a little note that can be updated. And again, that's not something that would prevent going before the public hearing. Okay, landscaping and screening plan, compliance with requirements. Again, that ties in what we just talked about. Yeah. 2P, gradient, stormwater or drainage, stormwater management plan. And you had an extensive thing in here, I believe, about the
I have
stormwater.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Tom.
Did you guys meet with the county drain commissioner, Pamela?
No.
You need to talk to her because there's a countywide drainage thing that Jason has a copy of it. He could show it to you. that you have to comply with, and you need to meet with her over the stormwater and containment plans and all that stuff.
Normally, you only legally have to talk to the drain commission if you're tying directly into their drain.
This is stormwater management on your property. It doesn't have anything to do with the drain in the sense of the word. The other one before you, they've done all this, and I noticed yours didn't have that on there. You had,
I followed the MDOT calculations is what I followed.
the MDOT.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah,
in on I-75. So I followed MDOT. Is what I follow. And I give
Yeah, I
you
don't-
all of the calculations as a part of that.
okay. That's good, but you need to go see the county drain commissioner about a permit. Again, the applicant before you and the one before that both did. And you end up working out an agreement on maintaining that and you know, being responsible for all your water that's created on your property stays within your property. And that's where you get the retention ponds and stuff. So I think you're there. You just need to show it to her and get her to sign off on it.
Yeah, there's a copy and I'll show you in that plan right there that has all the paperwork.
And
Is it-
on page or on the plan C3 under utility contacts, water and sewer, you got an address for Saginaw, Michigan,
Okay, you can correct that.
and that didn't make any sense to me, I guess.
It does to us because that's our office address.
I got you, okay. I figure it was just something there, but just thought I'd bring it up.
Simple typo.
And again, the only other thing I really had was, again, if you could provide some, you know, you got that big, long building facing the road. If we could have a elevation, a picture of that to show at the public hearing, what it's gonna look like, how beautiful it's gonna be, all that fun stuff. It'll go a long way to probably helping us at the public hearing, so
Okay.
I'm gonna get a picture of what.
I can take a picture of the ones we already have because it's gonna be identical except for the color of the doors.
Okay. That's why I say something, some kind of drawing or elevation, just so they got an idea of size and structure and for us too.
Okay.
Sketch up.
Hmm?
I can sketch up something if I know which one. See, part of the hang up with that piece is he's got to order the building in order to get the building drawings from the building manufacturer, which is a rather big expense to not even know if you got special land use approval. So if I draw it, then I'm duplicating work somebody else is gonna do. So that's part of where the building elevations fell a little short right now. But we'll get something worked out so you have something.
This stuff doesn't necessarily need to be done like for the plan. We can do the public hearing, but the fact we're having a public hearing and stuff, that's going to be a question that's the primary question I think that people are going to have. What's it going to look like when I drive by the street? Is it going to be, you know, cement city, or is it going to be, you know,
Correct.
compared to what it is now?
Yep.
And
And that's why the landscaping plan and details are important at that point.
Yes, sir.
okay, going on to, so that was 2P, so we'll put that in the notes too about, you've already got it, but it will talk to it. 2Q is location specifications of existing or proposed below and underground storage facilities, toxic waste stuff. You're not having any toxic waste on there, and are you planning on doing the same thing and like in your leases, have that spelled out that there's no storage of toxic stuff? And
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Josh said, yes.
yeah, okay. So 2Q would be satisfied. Elevation drawings of all buildings and floor plans to be occupied. And you just discussed some of that you were waiting for more clarification. Now it's kind of the catch-20 or chicken and the egg. So, yeah, Jason, what do you need specifically for we need to have that before the final approval, correct?
I don't need.
Right.
How many units, what size there in each building, I guess.
Right.
Which the site plan does say the size of the buildings and the size of the units within the buildings. But it wouldn't be that difficult to create a floor plan, if you will, for that. So, like, to go along with the building elevations, whether it's just the picture or whether we sketch something up, we can have a floor plan.
Okay.
I think really all you need is an elevation.
Okay.
Obviously, there's gonna be, 14-foot units in that building. 10-foot in that one, and that may tell you how many what size units there is.
Okay. Statement identifying, you put that in the narrative, I believe already, for if permits are required or not. That one is the Roscon, that road commission stuff is a separate one from the state that we talked about already, so that'll be something they need to get to address.
Oh, for building permits and stuff. Repeat what you said, please.
Okay, so on 2S in the checklist is a statement identifying all federal, state, and local permits required, if any.
Oh, yeah, they're
And-
listed. There's
Yeah, so you
building
put a
permits.
bunch of that stuff down there already, but there's with your, and talk about the road commission, you did this with the, forgot what you call it right here,
With
but
that.
the soil stuff, but the one we just mentioned that we need to talk to road commission about is a separate thing that you may not addressed. That needs to be included. The project completion schedule we talked about already, just. And this would be just in one phase, so you plan on doing all the stuff at once, not,
Building 1, 3, and 4 are gonna be the first phase. And the rest will follow as soon as we hit a certain percentage of occupancy,
let's see.
which, I mean, a year from now, we could be done. It's hard to say.
What buildings were those again?
1, 3, and 4.
Thank you.
Is the entire property gonna be completely cleared in the beginning of the project? Or you only,
Yes.
all right, so you won't be just clearing the area for buildings 1, 3, and 4, but the
No,
entire,
we're gonna clear the whole site.
okay. Will there be some sort of finished area where the other buildings would go? That will be cleared but won't be considered drive areas in the original drawing?
Explain that again.
Yeah, I'm asking like how it's gonna look after the whole area is cleared. And there are certain areas that are designated as drive areas. But the other areas where the buildings could eventually be later, what will that look like at that point once it's cleared and the other
It'll just be level sand.
sand, okay?
I mean, that's what's there now. It'll just be smoothed out.
Okay. But I'm guessing that where the drive areas are is gonna be some sort of a gravel. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Just right, that's Greg CMAC, who's on the planning commission as well.
What's that?
That is Greg CMAC that's on the planning commission as well, who was just speaking.
Okay, well, I kind of figured.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he wasn't on initially when we started the meeting. And I'm trying to figure out where buildings 1 or 3 and 4 are.
From the north end, so building 1 is the one parallel.
Right.
Building 2 is the one at the north property line, then 3, 4 goes down. And then building 6 is the
Yeah, I got it.
westerly one, building 7 is the easterly one along the south property line.
Okay, going on to 3A. All elements of plan should be harmoniously and efficiently organized in relation to the size of the character of the lot and the manner in which buildings and support facilities on the lot relate to one another both physically and visually. And the character of the proposal is viewed from the nearby properties and roads in relation to the intent of the district which the property is located.
You guys discussed colors of the building,
What was that again?
the colors of your building. What colors did you guys report?
Well, the buildings are probably gonna be white. We wanted to go with blue doors, but I was told that the township doesn't like that color, which to me, blue goes with the lake. But anyways, we haven't picked out the color doors yet. But we can go with whatever color you want, but we prefer not to have the same color as our neighbors
Right.
or the ones on the other side of the neighbors.
Yeah, Terry, why don't you?
This was the colors that were originally got. I don't know if that's your writing or Jason,
It ain't mine.
but he said gray and blue doors.
That's the color we've always used on all of our buildings. That's what we would like to use.
Would it be possible, well, instead of white, this is the, can you use a gray for the walls and then use this darker color for the doors?
I'll run it by my son.
Yeah, think about it.
To me, it doesn't matter, but
Yeah, we
colors
really
don't matter
want
to
white
me.
and blue.
Yeah, if I could have a copy of that. Yeah, cause it's not gonna make any difference on the price of the building, what color. it is.
Right, for the,
Like I say, colors don't matter to me.
yeah, the only thing, and I think the blue color, or one or two of the colors that were on there were, we actually, the one going up now changed, that was what they originally had themselves as well. And stuff, but the main thing is that people, if you're gonna have a big clear cut area, especially up here and that stuff, is just to try and blend in a little bit more instead of staying, popping out like the white pops out.
And I think Josh had mentioned that he was willing to work. with
Yeah,
the
and this,
applicant.
we got an email from Jason, and I believe it came from Josh, is my,
Is it? Maybe that then. Yes, on that sheet was, I looked at.
I was saying color. What is the color of the building?
Terry, can we?
Terry, what is the color of the building?
Okay, now, nobody is using those colors yet. This one. Yeah. Okay,
This is the door.
and the blue is definitely out of the question. Okay,
And the other side is a choice of steel. You use those people.
yeah, we use the track right doors. Yep,
Terry,
okay.
Terry. Bill wants to see.
Oh, I just wanted.
Yeah, the gray.
That's what I wouldn't be
For
too
the
dark.
building.
I mean, look, the building. Wouldn't be too dark. I don't know.
That's what they want for the doors. I think that's ugly for doors.
Out here.
We don't want white.
Yeah, this is that color.
Well, I like what you picked out.
Okay. Yeah, that's what other guys are using. I mean, definitely. More.
But if I do the building elevation, I can actually put the colors.
Right. Like
Yeah,
four,
right.
that's four other color.
I'd rather be,
But it is, yeah, kind of darker.
you know,
And it's true, like, just like, be a tree line, nice fence, nice landscape.
there's some nice dark.
Yeah.
Need to make a decision on that right now, so just wanted to give you our thoughts. I think Jason or Josh, I think he had sent an email through Jason, and we just didn't want to, we had to discuss the stuff in public, so we didn't want to make a decision or a choice at that time without anybody. Give you some guidance. Yeah, give you some guidance. That's the stuff out there, and
It's not my place to say what colors are gonna be.
Right.
They've all sounded very receptive to working with you.
yeah.
Get what you want.
Okay, so that's TBD and the color stuff, but the other stuff, I think you met. One concern is if you're doing it in phases and clear cutting the whole thing, then it's like you're tearing down the forest and then possibly leaving, you know, if you don't put something up, then you've lost that. Again, I think the way you're talking right now, the way you have that building, a lot of that stuff would not be visible from the road behind there. So I think that wouldn't be, so from that standpoint, my argument doesn't hold as much water. Now, I just in general on the parking is a good, you said it's just going to be left as a sand for that where the buildings are not. But is there going to be paved like cement or some kind of pavement where the other buildings are that are put up?
So the way the
Or
plan
is-
was shown is that there would be an asphalt drive approach.
Okay.
But the rest of the surface would be a gravel surface.
Okay. That they had, there's some pictures in there of the one that's proposed just before you of, they weren't going to pave or they were going to use some of the gravel stone or the, whatever you call it. So it's natural, allows water stuff to flow through it. Okay. All right. So going on to 3B, should be a character that supports and purpose of the district development be located. Kind of doing that. I know Josh isn't here right now. You're planning on doing both storage units and, storage for vehicles, recreational stuff, but other just general storage as well with some of your units, you know, like boxes and that kind of stuff. So it's just not all geared towards vehicles.
That's my
Yeah, correct.
understanding. There's a mix of sizes. The 10 by 20 units wouldn't be big enough to put a vehicle in. So I guess I can't say a snowmobile or a motorcycle
Yeah,
can fit in that,
for the-
but yeah, in general, there's the larger units for boats, potentially RVs, potentially, and then there's the smaller units that would be more intended to be more residential in nature. It's not the intent to make this an industrial type of storage. It's meant to be residential in nature.
Right. We talked about it before, and I'm the one that seems to have the most concern for the areas, but there's a need for a storage here. But do you know, I think Josh said before at the last meeting that, yeah, we have a need and we think they'll be filled. But is the market that you're looking at primarily in Gerrish Township, or is it also, you know, are you looking to draw from other outside counties and stuff? And
We can't say where customers are gonna come from. Down in Saginaw, we have customers that are 30 miles away,
yeah, that's,
but we can't really put a limit on it, you know? I know there's a demand here, so I'm assuming that most of our customers, if not all of them, are gonna be local.
okay. I think Josh mentioned he'd had some kind of market. I don't know if he had an actual market study per se, but it could just been anecdotal. Yeah, yeah. That there's a study or that he has a mind of a market, but I didn't know if it was, yeah, we're thinking because the area we're trying to draw outside of the township and doing that. And then the concern there for me was just, it's a C1 thing, was designed primarily to focus on primarily the local Gerrish Township immediate area around there. And if it was stuff that was, and that's the reason we allowed for a change in the C1 ordinance for residential storage, but
the way Josh talked, at least to me, okay? I'm not the one to do a market study, so that would have to be somebody else. But, his goal was for a more local market. He wasn't trying to market a Detroiter to park his boat instead of
halfway
going
up,
out
yeah.
UP. His intention was a local market. Was his
Okay.
intention.
I didn't ask that specific question of him last time, I believe, so. And the thing I think that helps is you're looking at it in a two-phased approach. Build some, see how it goes, and then if it's there, build some more. Okay. So 3C, the site plan should not impede the normal orderly development, improvement, or enjoyment of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district, including matters pertaining to the visual impacts from lighting, signage, outdoor storage, and off-street parking. And I think
We're good.
met that.
Yep.
Good with.
We're good.
Okay, 3D, the site plan should preserve the environmental character of the site so far as practical. By minimizing the removal or disturbance of the on-site natural features such as wood, trees, soils, topography, water. I think there you're pretty much cutting it all, but with the intent to use buildings. But I think the main focus of all that, and I think the big mitigating factor is what it looks like from the road and stuff. And if you're able to do some of that landscaping, especially consistent with the other ones, I think across the front, you don't see much on the backside. And that was, what some of the concern is. I think that's sufficient. 3E, that site plan will provide for the removal of stormwater to minimize the on-site flood conditions. I won't read through the whole thing. You did have an extensive thing in here talking about the soil and the stuff there, just marrying up with the Roscommon person is the thing that needs to be completed for that. 3F, site plan should provide vehicular and non-motorized circulation in a parking manner that ensures visually clear, safe, and convenient visual travel on the site. You've talked to the fire chief, you've annotated in here, you've made your allocations with the spacing between the buildings. So-
And the buildings were also pulled off of the east property line further.
Yes,
So everything that the fire chief was requested should be.
yeah,
noted.
easier now for the. Okay. You've met 3F. 3G, the site plan shall provide for appropriate location of all necessary and proposed utilities. Underground facilities will be provided to the greatest extent feasible, and you said you're basically relying on the power company for that. But I think you're.
And the drainage and stormwater is shown on. It's just usually Consumers Energy does do their own power.
Because I think 3G is met. 3H, where a project is proposed in phases. Site plan phasing shall be designed so each phase, when completed, capable of operating on its own. I think you've met that.
Mike,
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
on that one, I think what you need to show on the plan is your phasing. You need to illustrate with a line saying, this is what we're developing, this is not. So it's pretty clear what's phased in. This is all new to me. None of that's on the plan
Actually,
anywhere that I
today's the
saw,
first
but
day I heard of the phasing too, but I understand what you're saying, and I can lighten up I'll leave the first three buildings dark, I'll lighten up the next three, and then the gravel surfaces as they pertain to those drives, they'll be hatched different. So there'll be a visual
Yeah, and that's what,
distinction where the second phase of buildings is lighter and blends into the background a little bit more. The proposed ones will.
yeah, if we could have some definition there.
Yeah, and the way they did on the one that's sitting in front of you right there, they just didn't want these lines. They just put a dash line between there and said phase 2 is,
Yep.
north there. And so that would be sufficient. Anything else, Tom? Greg?
Yeah, well, the other key part of 3H there is when it's completed, the area that you didn't do anything is capable of standing on its own terms and presence. So in other words, it doesn't look like a bomb went off and you just ignore it. So, I mean, you can cut it, grade it, shape it, form it, but it's got to look reasonably professional. And so that's all.
And as he mentioned, if they have a good, good customer base come in and they're filled quick, they'll keep moving on it. So
Okay.
with any luck, they'll all be,
Yeah.
built quickly.
Yeah. And the thing there is just not, I know they did that in a lot on the other side of the lake where the miniature golf course was, and it was all torn up, and then the sail or something to go through, and they just left all the stumps, and it was just all irregular before the building that people bought it and redid this stuff. So. Okay, 3I, site plans shall conform to applicable township planning documents, meeting the goals and objectives of the master plan, the other ordinance stuff, and state and federal statutes. I got my concerns, but I think you've met all the stuff there. Then for the specific standards for the special land uses, signs, off-street parking, landscaping, environmental protection, supplemental plans. Does anybody have any issues with any of those from Okay, section 5, the special use stuff, general standards, be harmonious with the Gerrish Township master plan. Thank you. General consensus, I think they met that. 5B, be harmonious with the general objectives and purpose of the ordinance. Believe you met that. 5C, be of such character to be compatible with adjacent conforming uses of the land. I think you met that. You're willing to look at the other sites with you for the front to be consistent or somewhat. Doesn't have to be exactly what theirs is, but 5D, be designed, constructed, operated, maintained to be appropriate in appearance and harmonious. We kind of beat that down already. I think you met that. And you were doing parking spaces in front where that was going to be gravel type thing there.
Yeah,
So you're not going to have any lines.
We're not
on
gonna
there.
have any line, but there's sufficient space for people to park if need be.
Right. Okay. And then that little office you talked about, is that just,
There's not an office on this facility.
yeah, I know the one before, I thought you mentioned there was lighting or something. You're going to run electric to.
The inside of the front building.
And then some of the other buildings will have just lights on them.
Yeah.
Usually we go every other building, put the lights on both sides.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to have electric running to those other buildings as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
but no plugs, just the outside lights.
yeah. Okay. So the other ones are confusing. They were just doing solar lighting. So they weren't having any electricity at all in there. You're going to have some, but it's
Basically
minimal, and
outside.
that's all going to be there. Okay.
And am I hearing this correctly, that the interior of the units are not lit?
I didn't understand what you said.
Yeah. I was asking if, if I'm hearing this correctly, the interiors of the individual units then are not intended to be lit?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
So no light, no plug.
Just
In-
in the RV unit.
Okay.
There will be plugs and a light. But the other ones, there won't be any plugs, any lights.
So building 1, he's saying will have plugs and lights. Buildings 2 through 7 will only have exterior site lighting. And not all of the buildings have exterior site lighting, so, which that shows on the photometric plan. So it looks like, building 3 won't have any site lighting. Well, I should change it because of phasing.
And this one. Yeah,
We might, I think maybe we
Did
need to
make
talk
adjustment.
through the photometrics to make sure that we're, getting the.
both sides on this one and both sides on that one.
All right, it looks like I got a correction.
Okay. I don't see that as a showstopper for going ahead. with
Actually, I didn't even notice that page.
For the. Okay. So 5E is not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity. I think you've met that. 5F, be served adequately by essential public facilities, services, roads, fire, police. You talk to the fire department, you may talk to utilities. And I think you've met that. 5G, not involved, uses, activities, process materials that are detrimental to there, and I think you've addressed that, and you'll have that in the lease stuff like hazardous materials. 5H, not involved uses, activities, process materials, equipment, or conditions of operation that would be detrimental to the natural environment or air, soil, water, surface water, or groundwater resources. I think you've met that. 5I, not create excessive additional requirements of the public cost for public facilities and services. I think you've met that. The only question I have is just again, with the other ones is the traffic impacts. We won't know that till.
And Josh was gonna give some estimated traffic counts. You know, I know he didn't give it to me.
Yeah, I think he was working on that.
Was that a part of his? I didn't get to see it. I don't believe.
No, I did ask, it's, for some idea of,
He was
You know,
gonna
what it
take his
is.
existing facilities and then give you an idea on traffic
Right.
counts. I hadn't seen it, so I didn't.
right. And again, I asked the other people there and they hadn't thought, when talking with the road commission, they didn't have any, the road commission did not have any problems with their entry, exit and stuff like that. My only thing, is we don't know, and there may be a couple small periods of peak hours and you've got a, kind of a big S turn there. And with one place that's currently going up, there was an issue with all those units. And if the big thing around here is people getting the recreational vehicles and stuff used for the weekends and in particular in the summer during the boats, a lot of people want to come up late, on the Thursday and Fridays. And if they want to get their boat in the water at the state park or elsewhere, they got to be in line at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so you could have a surge of people coming in at other hours. Some of the stuff like you've mentioned before, I think, Dwayne, and past, like in Saginaw, there's rural uses like this with recreational or resort type stuff. That some things will be a little bit different than what their uses are and how people access and the amount of traffic you have during different key periods than there would probably in some of the city areas or there, just because of the nature of the type of storage and what people are trying to do. And the fact that you got potentially three big storage units for a lot around an S turn, and with them all coming at different times and backing up traffic, it could be, for an hour or two, they may be more traffic than usual. That's causing a line from both directions. And that's where, like, the study stuff and ultimately the road, the traffic patterns and speed limits might need to be adjusted later on during certain hours, just kind of like school zones maybe with something like that. So that's the only potential impact that I could see here from elsewhere, but we won't know till it happens. Comply with site plan approval standards. I think you've done that. Special use stuff. I don't know if there's any problems with standards here. So I appreciate the response and stuff for all the, there was a detailed thing that they got back to for feedback. And I think you've met majority of that stuff. So what I'll do is sum up some of these things here, you've noted them already, just send you another letter, try and get it out to you by this week. Those things, I don't think any of them are showstoppers for the preliminary thing, so I think we can go ahead with that. I just, before we do official motion. You got board, Val, you have any comments, or Mike, any?
No, I think
we're
Good. Okay, Terry. Greg, you have any additional things to add or ask, or?
I have one question. Is there any intended purpose that's already determined for the piece of property immediately to the north?
Not to my knowledge. It is for sale, though.
Okay. Another question, this is just an intellectual curiosity, but how do you determine what the size of all the units should be? I mean, is it a little bit of a guessing game, or do you have certain demographics that you can rely on that are fairly accurate for that?
Well, yeah, it's kind of guessing, but we're guessing off of our 2 projects we have in Saginaw. And that's one of the reasons why we are not gonna put up all the buildings at one time, to see which ones run out better than other ones. Now, we know there's gonna be a demand for some RV units, some boats and motorhomes. There always is. And we rent out a lot of 10 by 20s. Don't ask me why, but a lot of people like 10 by 20s. But we can change them. You know, once we get 3 up and see what there's a demand for, but usually the 10 by 10s, 10 by 20s and 10 by 30s, that's pretty much what most of them are gonna be.
Okay, thank you.
My only thing, I'm probably repeating myself a little bit, but take a good read of Article 11, which is the landscaping in our ordinance. And, give you a pretty good idea what we're trying to do there, and give you some ideas. And another question, that property to the north, has that split been done? Has that been?
Yes, that was done before the board. I think two
Okay,
board meetings ago, it was officially split.
got it.
Jason, do you have it, when you're out of the room, the question was asked, do you have any idea about that they're not looking, if what the intended use of that was, or they had any? Okay. Jason's shaking his head no. The owner's just keeping that piece, at least for now.
There is a for sale sign on it right now, though.
Yeah, I was thinking that was for the whole property, so I don't know if that's.
For
left up
whatever
there
reason, he wanted to keep it.
Okay,
One other question. Can you tell me approximately the height of that front building, how tall it is?
The doors are gonna be 12 foot tall. So it'll probably be about 14.5 feet to the eve.
Okay. All right.
you guys have any other questions for us or things you want to add?
I don't think I do.
Yeah, I've been talking a long time. Right. Okay,
Make a motion?
yep, I'm gonna make the same motion. And move that the Gerrish Township Planning Commission schedule a public hearing for the Higgins Lake storage complex, site plan as a part of the preliminary site plan review process to meet at the earliest convenience, which is likely the 25th of April.
I'll second that.
Any discussions? No discussions? Go around a vote. Terry?
Yes.
Yes, for me.
Mike says yes.
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 Yes, 4 yeses. Motion is passed. So we'll convene a public hearing with you guys as well. We'll get the times. We'll do both of them, just like 15-minute periods, unless there's excessive number of people that questions go over, but we'll start both of them. Not sure what the assignment's going to be, the order. probably 6:30 on the 25th of April. We'll see what the schedule, we'll let you know as soon as possible what the schedule is. So it'll be a 15-minute period for once. All that is essentially, people that have any questions or comments will come up and they'll get a couple minutes to talk and address their issues, answer questions. And if you're here for that, you may be able to, it's strictly a period for them to voice their comments and concerns. We're not going to debate anything over there is the panel board, but there may be some questions you might be able to, answer right away. We'd provide that opportunity if it presents itself. So with that, appreciate your comment, appreciate your time. I know it's been a late period in there. Appreciate your response to the stuff. And I think it'll probably all come together with that. Yeah. So
And
we're done here. The rest is just any new business. So you're welcome to leave and.
Okay,
stuff.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Since it is 9:30, I think that we should move to postpone the septic and short-term rental ordinances for another time.
I concur.
Agree.
Agreed.
I thought you were just gonna ask for a 10-minute break, Mike.
5 minutes.
Okay.
You taught me well, Greg.
Jason wants to keep moving.
Right.
I just have one quick thing, if we're in the open forum.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
I have to push this. So
Beans on.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to, I told, what's her name down at cross country ski headquarters, Mariah. She came in and was talking about putting a building on the property where the ski headquarters is to do yoga. And with an apartment above it. I mean, looking at the ordinance, you can have apartment above a business, that's allowed. The yoga thing is one of those things, what does it fit in? In my mind, I think you could probably fit it in a couple different areas.
Fitness club.
Well, that's the first thing that came to my mind, and fitness clubs aren't allowed in C1. So, there's a couple other, like public gathering places like bowling alleys, and it lists a bunch of things. It could possibly fit under that, or maybe you would even consider it a generally recognized business. I don't know, but I told her that we're so swamped here that she probably isn't going to be able to come in here to this meeting and maybe not even the next. So I said, what I would do is put it into their heads and kind of let them, on your own time, just give your thoughts on if you think that would fit in which group it would fit. And do you think it's something that she can proceed on anyways?
Is she talking about building a whole new,
Yes,
putting up a whole new building right next to,
on the same property.
on the same property, so like behind the facility? They got a parking lot there, I know.
Yeah, like where the parking lot, behind the parking lot or whatever.
Okay. And then also be a residential.
It would be basically just an open room on the bottom with maybe a bathroom where they would hold yoga, and then a second story apartment above.
And I don't know, can we build, the question, if it's a C1 lot, can they build a place, have a residential thing on that?
Can it be a rental, or do they have to be an owner occupied unit?
I did not ask her that.
I'm wondering
See, I
right now,
think in the past, I think she's had like yoga classes in the cross country ski building in the summer.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she said right now they go back and forth from there to the craft center, and it's not very convenient, and they talked about this a couple of years ago, but
They
never.
used to do it here, remember?
Yeah, they've done it in a number of places, and So I just told her that because we're so busy and I didn't think it
Right.
would be good for her coming in, that I would float it out to you guys and.
What I mean, their cross-country ski headquarters, and I know I've never been on it, but across the street where the paths are, I believe that's state-owned property. They operate it and they can't officially charge people. They do, but it's kind of like a donation or a volunteer, it's
Right. to
something
help
they
with
can't.
this.
So the question is for their current cross-country shop headquarters, is they operate like a fitness center business, with the ski facility there, and you come in, they got coffee and stuff on there. So I don't know. That's something I guess I would consider is if you're looking for something around, to not tag it as a fitness thing, it kind of is, but if it's a part of their current facility that does stuff related to that.
Well, what's the difference if it's just a commercial building? I mean, I own a commercial building and I rent it out and they can have a dance studio in there, they can have a daycare in there, they can have anything they want, a real estate office. I don't know why the yoga means anything. It's just a use of a commercial building.
Well, when you look at the prohibited and allowed by right and allowed by special use, different uses, health clubs is actually listed in there and it's not allowed at all in C1.
Why are you calling it a health club?
I'm just saying, what do you
Well,
call it? Is
I'm saying you call it nothing. You call it a commercial building and they rent it out. And
I
they hold
personally
yoga
think
stuff
it's a
there.
great fit. I think it's a great fit there, but
It doesn't specify in the ordinance that yoga is not allowed, does it?
no, which means it's prohibited according to our ordinance. That's why I'm here asking.
I mean, that's something I also think could be relooked at.
To me, it's not a gas station. It's not a defined use. It's an empty building and I'm gonna hold classes in it. I think I don't know. I think we're going too far out on it.
Well, but that is allowed though in C2 places. It's just
The
C1.
health club thing is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's other similar uses that you could kind of categorize that into that I feel that says it's allowed per special use. So
What about the building next to Northwind's Motel?
it's vacant right now.
Okay. But they advertise spa and I don't know what else was on that sign.
Yeah, they never did anything with it though.
Okay.
I mean, what's the difference between yoga studio and ski?
Yeah, to me,
Headquarters.
it's great. I just
Yeah.
didn't want to tell her, go do whatever you want, because then
Right.
somebody comes and screams at me, what the hell are you letting these idiots do this for, So I just want to get your guys' opinion because it's going to be coming to you. I think it fits great, but
Bring it
I do
on.
too. I would like to suggest that she write the purpose if she's made to, so that it aligns with whatever she can have a building there and have her yoga class.
yeah.
Well, I mean, even, if you just if you build a residence, up top is, I don't know, I haven't read the current things off the top of my head. No, if you have a residence there in that zone, can you have it? You build a building and say you're living on the top floor, but to say the whole thing is, is for business where you're using the bottom floors, like, and no different than residents having a big room that they're using for a regular, their own workout center.
I mean, the same thing.
Call
with
it an
what's the
expansion of
difference?
the cross-country ski business building.
Well,
And if she
yeah,
wants to have yoga classes in there in the summer, that's okay.
yeah, or it's like an accessory structure with,
Well, the ordinance clearly says you can have a apartment above on a second or third story above a business. So that part of it's allowed and great. So.
Yeah, all right, very good.
we can consider,
Yeah.
I think there's leeway there to,
Well,
That's all I had.
okay.
Thanks, Jason.
Oh, I got a quick question for you. The last time, I'm trying to recall on top of my head, I think a sign issue on the other mini storage that's currently going up right now? And the
I,
backside, was there any
I think
further?
they dropped that.
Okay. Yeah, Greg, I think you were on the last one. Jason brought up at the previous meeting that the current mini storage by SROA, they had come to him about putting up a sign on the backside of the lot, essentially the exit ramp. That would be a different sign, each storage thing, and there were, was different from what they presented, to us. And then we can have one big sign that they were, basically they want to get advertisement on 75s, so it gets a bigger area. So that was a question that was coming up. If, do they have to go through a whole nother site plan review or other issues? And just also, so the building essentially, as telling Tom yesterday, the buildings now have gone up and the siding is on. So from the street, it pretty much looks like, I mean, they're not painted yet and stuff, but they've made a lot more progress in the last month with the weather
Yeah,
and
good.
stuff. So now they're up. So you get a good semblance of what it looks like. I can't remember if the side, there was a main structure, the huge building going down. And then there was going to be one kind of on the side. I can't remember if the side was partly up or not. That was it for.
Yeah, I believe they dropped that because I issued the permit for a ground sign on the front already.
Okay.
So.
So any other new business? That's it?
Just to make sure, Greg, that the issue about the appointments on the board meeting that met last week, they came up with a resolution that said they couldn't find, records of appointments and stuff. They had a record of your interest and all that, but they basically passed a resolution that ratified all our appointments or all our motions from the July period through the board meeting last week. And then you guys are all officially reappointed again for another term on there right now. And you'll have to do the swearing in, I think, and that stuff at a certain point.
All right, thank you, Mike.
So we are now
We're official.
official. And then before you got on here, Greg, we approved the annual report for 2023. And I just left out some of that stuff with the appointment dates on there. Was the
Okay.
change I had for the proposals that I sent you the stuff out last night.
Yes,
So we did approve that when you're gone. So
good, thank you.
other than that, I'm done.
Any public comment? Okay. And Noon, do you have anything?
Yes,
for us?
just as you know, as Mike stated, Dave is retiring. And his last day here will be next Thursday, the 28th. So they're having a farewell retirement party Thursday afternoon from 2 to 4. Because then Friday he hops on the plane and heads south. So it's an open house. You're all invited. There's just going to be cake and Southern Comfort. I mean, cake and coffee and punch. But yeah, you're all invited. Everybody that works in the building, all the committees. So if you see the ZBA group, would you relay that, please? And if you'd like to donate, Mary Ann has a card you can sign, and they're asking for like $5. So that's optional. But if you'd like to do that, that's it.
So Terry, I'd like to make a motion that you be appointed supervisor for the Friday, Saturday, and whatever day it is before Brian starts and Dave's already gone.
I might accept that.
Okay.
Record.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
adjourned.
Aye.
21:53.
Good job, guys. You did well.
So Tom, when are you coming home soon? First you told me March, now you tell me April, now it's probably gonna be May.
Soon.
Thanks.
Yeah, Greg, I don't know if you heard the due to some time.
You guys are doing well. You don't need me.
We're planning on doing the public hearing. There is advance notice you need and with the board stuff and the letters and to get it out. Instead of having the meeting or the next meeting, which it had to be a special meeting, we weren't planning on doing an April meeting, but we're planning on doing it. But instead of the second week, we'll do it on the 25th of April.
Yeah, I did hear that. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, now we'll do the public hearing there, and then the board meets, the township board meets, I think just after that, or they would meet after us in May, so we may have to slide the May meeting a week or so, just so we can, kind of step along the process and
Mhm.
at the following meetings.
All right, good.
Sounds like a plan.
You guys can have the rest of the night off now.
Except Mike.
Yes, yeah. Forgot that.
See you later.
Okay, good night.